and welcome. Welcome to the Conversations with Faith Leaders on Health. This series looks to be a tool specifically for faith leaders of any background looking to serve a variety of communities through either developing or sustaining already established health ministries. I am your facilitator, Reverend Krista Forbes, and this series is hosted by Our Health Ministry and was developed in partnership with Morehouse School of Medicine's National COVID-19 Resiliency Network. Our health ministry is where faith, health, technology, and community intersect to provide trusted information, tools, and connections that support faith-based organizations. I will look to have a variety of conversations with faith leaders who serve a variety of denominations about their interest and or involvement with health ministries in their communities. Today, I will be joined in conversation with Reverend Dr. Frank Lance, Senior Pastor of Mount Lebanon Baptist Church in Baltimore, Maryland. Hello, Dr. Lance. How are you?
Hello, Reverend Forbes. Again, thank you for having me.
No problem. Well, we'll get started with our talk time for today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Mount Lebanon Baptist Church?
Reverend Forbes, I will be glad to. The Mount Lebanon Baptist Church is a 98-year-old congregation in the inner city of Baltimore, Maryland. For me, I am its third pastor. So yes, 98-year congregation, only the third pastor. I'm in my 18th year at Mount Lebanon. And so I am a native Baltimorean, happy to be serving this congregation, happy to be here with you.
Well, thank you so much for that, and congratulations for 98 years of serving the community. So can you tell us a little bit, in that time, how did Mount Lebanon get started with your health ministry?
So thank you for that question. So for me, when I became the senior pastor, again, 18 years ago, one of the things that I did was a needs assessment for the community in which we're located. By way of that needs assessment, we found that there were three primary things that we needed to be focused on outside of the congregation. That was financial literacy, workforce development, and wellness care. And so when wellness care rose to the top in that top three, as I just mentioned, we knew that it was a ministry that we needed to launch. And so we married that need with the resources of the church, and we launched our health ministry.
Wonderful. And when you think about organizations and any organization, but particularly in the church, I appreciate you all doing a needs assessment. And it sounds like not just of the church, but this community you're looking to serve. Sometimes we are inner focused and just look within our walls, but it sounds like you all were looking for a bigger view and had a bigger plan. So when you think about your health ministry reaching out in the community in that matter, what resources would you identify as being those that were most helpful for you all in getting started?
Again, a great question, Reverend Forbes. And so for us, one of the things we wanted to make sure was if we were going to do this ministry, that we could do it with excellence, that we could do it well. We wanted to make sure that we served and not further hindered or hurt the community in which we're located. So when we were looking at what we thought was going to be necessary in health ministry, we started looking at our capacity to provide those services. And with that in mind, we decided that we could best serve if we partnered. So for us, we reached out to the University of Maryland at Baltimore, specifically the School of Pharmacy at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and we partnered with them. So what we were able to bring to the table were pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, RNs working with us in order to serve the community.
And I love the fact that you all not only identified community partners, but those in the community that had a name, and something that was standing, could stand up to itself, and people could recognize certainly the work of University of Maryland there in Baltimore. So when you were reaching out to those resources and those community partners, and you're starting along your way of this health ministry in the development stages, did you all come across any challenges or any hurdles or obstacles that you would kind of wave a flag at for others who are interested in getting started?
So absolutely. And so one of the things is to be consistent. So normally when churches launch ministries, normally they're looking at people within the congregation to serve in volunteer roles. Mm-hmm. And given this, people serve as long as it's somehow beneficial, if they have free time. And that's one of the concerns that I would suggest to anybody. Make sure that you have a plan for longevity and consistency. For us, it was one of the reasons that we reached outside of ourselves. So the University of Maryland at Baltimore will consistently have PIs or postdocs or people matriculating in the program who want and need to do this kind of thing. And then that, married with our need, our desire to serve, allows us to have longevity and consistency. So one of the things I would strongly suggest to any church, any faith-based institution that's looking at having a health ministry or any ministry for that point, look at your ability to be consistent and to have longevity. And if you don't have it within the house, don't be afraid. Don't stray away from reaching outside of the house.
Yeah, and that's great advice. Sometimes people can't think of, well, if sister so-and-so or doctor or deacon, whomever leaves, but if they can go outside into great synopsis or a great suggestion of partnering with a community local college where we know there will always be students, there will always be PIs, there will always be those resources made available. And a lot of organizations nowadays are really looking to partner with faith organizations to kind of tap into these health resources. Along with that, over the past couple of years during this pandemic, we saw a increase in a huge spotlight in public awareness of the inequities that people were facing, primarily people of color, in communities and what they were facing as it relates to the health systems. These inequities were emphasized, if you will, primarily because of the disparities that those same communities, again, communities of color, have been facing for decades, generation after generation. And it became significantly impactful and under the spotlight, particularly during COVID. How do these known gaps in health that we all became aware of, how would those gaps in health play in your decision either to sustain your health ministry or in an organization's decision in deciding to launch one? Because certainly there is some history there with that emphasis.
So Reverend Forbes, I would suggest that institutions, faith-based institutions who are looking to continue a health ministry, given the inequities about which you speak, I would suggest that you use data to bring other partners to the table. For us, we looked at CDC data, we looked at NIH data, and Johns Hopkins University is right here in Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah. And a number of people were looking at the Johns Hopkins statistics when they looked at the number of confirmed deaths from COVID. So we looked at CDC data, NIH data, and Johns Hopkins University, and we were able to bring that kind of data to the table, so much so that we were able to bring additional partners to the table for what we're doing. So for us, we have enhanced our health ministry. We now have CVS Health that's partnering with us. We have Aetna that's partnering with us, in addition to University of Maryland, Baltimore. So we increased what we did. The community in which Mount Lebanon is located is the community in Baltimore that the world saw in April of 2015 with the civil unrest. So it is a low and moderate income community, which, as you stated earlier, has had a disproportionate number of COVID infections, of COVID deaths, and vaccine hesitancy. And so we were able to use CDC data, NIH data, and Johns Hopkins University data and convince others like Aetna and CVS Health that your additional resources are needed here. And so we've actually enhanced our ministry. So to answer your question, I would suggest use the data that is readily available to make the case for why your ministry is needed. Those resources are out there. Others will come to the table when you give them that kind of quantitative data.
I love that, because what it says is don't give up. Don't get discouraged by the data, but use it to your advantage. Use it to for your benefit, for the benefit of the community, because so many of whenever you have those that many organizations having the same data, then clearly it's not a secret. So it's just a matter of bringing everyone to the table. Well, that's all I wanted to just share with us. You know, we could talk all day about about standing up a health ministry, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I do want to thank you so much for sharing with us and having this conversation about health ministries as it impacts faith communities. And so we will continue in this series of conversations with faith leaders on health, and we will continue to build up our health ministry. And for more information, if anyone would like to learn more, they are invited to go to www.ourhealthministry.com. Thanks again to you, Dr. Lance, and thanks again to the Morehouse School of Medicine's National COVID-19 Resiliency Network for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you so much and have a great evening.